Thanks for coming out. First thing, what a great show. Let's put our hands together for HiPoCON, for Brandy. It's been incredible. And who had the soup, by the way? My gosh, let's figure that out. That was phenomenal. All right, so I am here to talk about physical security. So as we mentioned, Genetec, we are a global leader in physical security. So access, video, we're the most used video management platform in the world. We're the second largest access control platform. And we brought those together to give you actionable intelligence. So what we want to talk about here is the evolution of security going to the cloud. So I'm a sales guy. I tried ChatGPT, made Ethan, my sales engineer, look like the lead in a rom-com. It cost me like 6 inches, 40 pounds, but we're working our way through it. So what we have is physical security has traditionally been a very slow-moving technology. So when you guys all were using IP phone systems, you probably still had analog cameras up on the outside of your building. We all remember Dateline. They would show the picture of the gray blur. Have you seen this person? Well, we've made that transition to IP, but it was a slow, kind of painful transition. And that's what we're doing now with our transition to cloud technology. So kind of reminds me of Oregon Trail we played before. So that's what I've put in the background there. So we are slowly going from these on-premise systems and moving to the cloud, just like other technologies in the facilities. So every year, we run a huge survey of end users. So we get 6,000 responses from end users, and we ask them about their transition to the cloud. As you can see, this was in our survey last year for 2024. 15% of our respondents said that they're using some type of cloud technology for their video and access control. That was 4% the year before. So we're finally starting to get over that hump and make that move. We're starting to move to the cloud. It's a 275% increase. So of the people in the room, raise your hands if you're using like cloud-based video and access control. Couple hands, but not many. So it seems like a pretty good topic to talk about, right? So what is the cloud? That's the first question I ask when we go in to talk to people. You're like, hey, I want to go cloud. Well, what do you mean by that? Because it can mean a lot of things. Are you cloud storing the video? Are you going direct to cloud? So the cloud can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And even in our little neck of the world about physical security, it can be something to each person. But the question is, why do you want to go to the cloud? What's the benefit for you? It's a means to an end. And that means is ease. We're going to make your system easier to use, easier to maintain. So what are some of the factors that we're going to address with this? First, the first big factor is connectivity anywhere. So we've all gotten used to it with our phones, with our home systems, with the Nest Cam, with the Ring doorbells. Easy to get on your phone, easy to bring them up. But when you're looking at 1 or 2 cameras and streaming that to the cloud in short clips, that's pretty easy. When you're looking at hundreds or thousands of cameras and trying to stream all of that bandwidth up to the cloud, that's a whole nother endeavor, right? So we have to have options there. But you want to be able to see that video. So we want to be able to connect anywhere, and that's what the cloud allows us to do. We want to improve our cybersecurity. So I'm from Minneapolis, over in Minnesota. City of St. Paul just had a big ransomware issue, right? So there's things happening all the time. Genetec was used at Target when they kind of had the first hack a while ago, and there were some pretty nervous people up in Montreal because nobody knew exactly how they got into that system. It ended up, it was an unsecured thermostat that they got into the system, but that was when we kind of looked at ourselves and said, hey, we got to make sure that these systems are cyber secure. The challenges with an on-premise system is somebody needs to make those patches. Someone needs to go out and push those updates. With the cloud, we can take care of that, do it all in the background for you. Greater resilience uptime. A lot of times we're relying on those servers. Maybe we'll have some RAID arrays. Maybe it's RAID 6 where you can lose a couple drives, but if we're able to use the cloud, we're able to keep that redundancy, keep that system up and running at all times. And then continuous innovation. So what we do with on-premise systems is we put them in, we let them run, but then people are hesitant to upgrade them, or someone has to actually take the time to go and do that. Just like our phones, we want to have the latest and greatest all the time. So what we're able to do with our cloud managed systems is we're able to push those updates for you. So as new releases come out, as new features become available, they're going to be there the next time you log into your system. We're also going to push those updates out to your clients as well. So a huge management lift for large systems. Best Buy was a system that I maintained for a long time and managed. and they have 900 stores, they had full-time people that were just upgrading those servers at the site and pushing client updates, right? So we can take that off their plate. IT teams are not getting bigger, right? There are more and more devices out there and probably less people managing them. So how can we take some of that lift off you? How can Genetec and HiPoCON make you more efficient? And then some places, we're the last server left in the rack, right? Because all these other technologies have already gone to cloud. Your telephone system, your email servers, all of that is already in the cloud. Well, video management's a little different because it's a lot of data to manage, right? So what we're doing now is we're doing a lot of either storing on the edge in the camera or doing a managed appliance at the site. So just to get your head around the architecture a little bit, on the left here, we have kind of the traditional on-premise setup. So you have your server. I like to think of it as the brains of the system, right? That's authenticating, that's storing everything. You have your clients, and then you have your field devices. With the cloud, we're able to move the brains of that system up into the cloud, but still keep those devices local for you. And what does that do for you? It opens up a bunch of opportunities, right? So that's one thing that Genetec can do better than any of the other video management access control providers out there, is we allow you to maintain the architecture that you want to maintain. So we can go direct to cloud. We're great partners with Access. Go view their cameras, all their stuff, their cameras, their access control. It's all vetted on Genetec. The first thing we certify is an access device. So for remote sites, we can have maybe a camera that just goes direct to cloud. Maybe it's one camera, we don't want to maintain any other hardware out there. We can use what I mentioned, our managed appliances. So we're going to store the video locally, but you guys don't have to maintain it. We take care of that. Like I mentioned, the apps will all update. But then what we can do is we can leverage your existing on-premise system. So as an existing Genetec customer, we're not going to make you go all one or all the other. So what we can do is we can manage that migration to the cloud. So what I like to say is if you want to move to the cloud and you have 40 sites today, you've bought your last Windows box, as you're on your refresh cycle, we'll start putting in those managed Linux appliances, we'll connect them to the cloud, so you're still able to see the whole system with one interface, but you're running on-prem and cloud, it will look the same to you in the field. How do we securely manage all of this? So I'm normally dealing with physical security professionals. Sometimes they don't have a lot of IT background, so this is going to be remedial for many people in the room, but it was interesting for me. So what we have there is our directory server, our traditional on-prem system. And traditionally, if you wanted to see multiple sites, we would go to the IT director and say, hey, open up the ports at all these sites for us. IT directors, and pretty much everybody else in this room here has talked about keeping those sites secure. Nobody wants to open those ports, right? Like there's no upside to the IT director to opening up ports. So what we're able to do is leverage reverse tunneling. So we're changing the way that that communication starts. Traditionally, in the past, if you wanted to remotely log into an on-premise video system, you would be initiating that contact to that on-premise server. You'd be going through those open ports. What we're doing now with the utilization of reverse tunneling is those on-premise devices are reaching out, starting that initial connection, so it's a secure connection, and then allows us as clients to mobily or through a full client or through a web app connect to all those systems worldwide because we're using that cloud to authenticate, to redirect, and get to that next site. What else do we bring to the table with that? It's constant innovation. So the video system is something you need to have. It needs to be up and running when something happens. And that does sometimes cause people not to want to update that system because they don't know what the next version is, make sure there's no bugs. So they end up just staying with what they have. But at Genetec, we're constantly innovating. We have 2,200 employees, 800 of them are in development. So we are always coming out with new features, and we want you to take advantage of them as soon as they're out. So as you can see, we're averaging a new feature release every 12.5 days on our SaaS platform. There's something new that 2 weeks ago when you logged into the system is now there today when you log in. And maybe it's that one thing you've been waiting for, and you're going to get it the day it becomes available. Now, how do we manage that, though? Because like I said, video security is something you need to have up. It can't be a situation where we have an incident happen and we go to the cameras and all of a sudden we realize that system's been down for 2 weeks and we didn't know about it, right? So what we do is use a ring deployment. So how we're doing this to make sure that when it goes out to you, our end users, to make sure that system is up and running properly, is we have a process. So we come out with the new features in SaaS. We're going to deploy that internally first for 2 weeks. So we're going to run that on our non-critical systems, our demo systems, things like that. Then we're going to run it on our internal production systems to make sure that when they're out in the real world running, they're functioning properly. So that's another 2 weeks. Then we're going to roll it out to our standard end users to make sure that we've caught the bugs before they get in your hands. But then we do give you the option, if you have something that you don't want to be even in that 1 month lead time, you're willing to wait a little bit to get the new features, we can move you to that Ring 4. So you're getting the most secure and most up-to-date and most tested version of that software. So once again, why are we talking about the cloud? Connectivity, anytime, anywhere. We want to be able to log into our systems just like we do on our home systems. We want to be able to see them at all times from any place. Improve our cybersecurity posture. Like we've talked about, somebody else brought up earlier when they were going through TSA, there are these attacks happening nonstop, right? So we need to make sure that this system is not vulnerable, and we're able to maintain that with our cloud. Continuous access innovation. If I'm paying for this system, I want to get those new features as they become available. And once again, reduce need for on-site resources, because once again, less and less time for everyone out there, more and more devices. How do we manage them? How do we give you more time back? So what I'm going to do now is we're going to bring up our sales engineer, Ethan Becker, and we're going to run through some of the capabilities of Genetec Security Desk. I want to drive you through the night. Yes, sir.
Good morning, everybody. I learned 2 things today. One, based on Joe's introduction, he no longer needs a sales engineer. That was pretty impressive. And 2, High Point puts on an amazing event. So, before we dive into the demo, we just want to show a quick video. So I'll let them pull up that video.
The Real-Time Crime Center has really improved our ability to provide safety for officers, develop cases. Some of the examples I can give is, we were able to, with the addition of camera trailers into the Real-Time Crime Center, we've actually caught drug deals where we identified the individuals involved. We've identified and recorded shootings through the cameras that we would not have necessarily known about. Our cameras on our municipal buildings have provided a wealth of evidence and abilities for our officers and our Real Crime Center technicians to help develop, very strong cases.
So a lot of us are using the same technologies, so we share that data. If we use different technologies, we're still trying to share that between agencies, try to communicate with each other and pass stuff either to each other or through the fusion centers. I can put a license plate in here and have it alerted nationwide. So we had a custodial kidnapping that started here. The license plate hit outside of Denver. We got an alert on it up there. We let them know, hey, this is what we're looking for. They went out within an hour, found him. And we had the child back here pretty quickly.
The key to the Real-Time Crime Center is the Genetec Security Center. We utilize all the proprietary equipment from Genetec. We use a Daktronics video wall. We use Dell computers that are specially purpose-built for Genetec. That is the key to the system. We utilize other third parties like Axon body cameras, shot spotter technology for gunshot detection, and we have an extreme network at our core that helps promote and support all those services that the Real-Time Crime Center provides.
The other thing that we're doing is we're working with Brink drones. We just stood up our first drone as first responder station, but that's going to be huge for us because we did a demo with the mayor the other day on her podcast where from the location of the station to 4th and Glendale within 30 seconds. So we can get a drone launched and be on scene within 60 to 90 seconds, providing real-time video to our officers and our Real Crime Center technicians who can provide that information to our officers. And it's just huge. It's a huge impact for us. We're really excited about that.
We had officers go out on a traffic stop and they aired that the male jumped out of the car and yelled, "Shoot me." So we immediately got on their body cameras. They were behind an apartment complex in a parking lot. So he's got his weapon drawn. We were able to jump on the body cam and air his location and air what's going on for him. One of the other responding officers asked him a question and you could see him come back to go for his radio and we aired the answer to the question and he was able to stay focused on what he's doing, give commands, and we could air that from the crime center to officers responding. And then as he's getting the person in custody, airing all that to officers responding so they have that information live going in. They know what they're going into, they know where they're going. It's safer for the officers, it's safer for the offenders, it's safer for the community.
We've been out with the community quite a bit, letting them know what's going on. You look at the national news and you see that there are some communities, and I'll specifically talk about ShotSpotter, that have had issues, with their citizens and their local government not wanting ShotSpotter in their municipality. But I will tell you this: our citizens are very supportive of it. And I want to go back to the wealth of the Real-Time Crime Center and what it can do for the community. We've saved 21 lives on call alerts through ShotSpotter that we did not get an initial call from a citizen, and we were able to arrive on scene and provide life-saving aid to those individuals that before we may not have. So our citizens see the value in what we're trying to do.
Awesome. So I hope everyone's okay with getting out of PowerPoints for a little bit. We've been PowerPoint to death today, I imagine, but also probably not going to say AI very often in this one either, so we'll get away from that for just a little bit. We're going to stick with the theme of Joe's presentation. We're going to keep it sassy. So I'm going to go kind of high-level overview of some of the SaaS products that we have, starting out with our SC SaaS, and we're in here in our web application here. Really simplifying the enrollment of our devices within here, right? We were able to do this really from anywhere in the world, anywhere where we have internet access, being able to enroll our different devices, right? So it's a very simple process right here from the web. We also have a mobile app that we can do this through as well. And I'm gonna put my glasses on because I'm old and I can't see. And you see here we have the ability to enroll cameras, appliances, so the manage appliances that Joe was talking about, access control devices from Access Communications that can enroll directly into the cloud, as well as intrusion panels. Next week is GSX, which is a big security show down in New Orleans. We'll be releasing the ability to bring in intercoms. What's really important about these new features that we're adding in here, end users didn't have to do anything to get these. They woke up one morning and they already had the ability to enroll intercoms into their system. After GSX, they'll have the ability to roll intercoms into their system. So just adding on to our unified platform. It also kind of simplifies it for the integrators, for the HiPoints, right? So no longer do we have to send that best technician out to the site. They could maybe be back at the office working and enrolling all these different devices. Well, we have a more entry-level technician that's out on site actually hanging the devices. From here, I'm actually gonna jump into the operations side of things. I actually had that open as well. So this is our web client for our SaaS product. We also have an on-prem product as well too. So we've met a couple existing customers in here earlier today. Very important to note, that on-prem system that you have, we're continuing to work on that. It's continuing to evolve alongside with our SaaS product as well too, right? So we're completely support a hybrid approach. But starting out in our web app here, being map-centric, right? So anybody who's worked in the software, access control software, video software, you usually end up with this big, long list of cameras or big, long lists of doors within your system. And when something's going on, how do you find really what you're looking for? Well, a map makes it a lot easier, right? So we can lay our devices directly on our map. I should take one step back as well too. So I am demoing this with a completely hybrid system. So you're gonna see my home system, which is an on-prem system. We'll see a couple cameras that are a coworker of mine down in Texas, and a couple other devices that are enrolled directly into the cloud. But I'm able to interact with all these devices directly from the map. So I can just simply highlight over one of my cameras, pull it up, start live streaming video. I can also click on that camera, bring it up in more of a tile approach, and bring that up full screen if I wanted to. I always, as Joe mentioned, he's from Minnesota, so anytime I demo with Joe, I'm based out of Wisconsin, there has to be something Packer related in there, right? So, I heard a boo backstage, huh? And so I'm able to interact with this right here. I'm able to see all the different events that happen in this camera. So if I wanted to quickly see motion events, I'm able to jump back to those. And of course, export video right out of here. I can also interact with my access control devices, right? So I have a green door on here indicating that it is in an unlocked state. It's supposed to be unlocked our normal business hours, maybe 8 to 4:30. Massive snowstorm coming in this afternoon. We're all gonna go home early, hopefully. I can simply click on that door and do a schedule override, right? And just say for the next 5 hours, I want this door to be in an unlocked state. Nobody has to go in and change the door schedules associated with these doors. And then remind themselves tomorrow to come back in, change it back to what it's supposed to be. Tomorrow morning, it's automatically gonna kick back. I can also kind of schedule that out and do the opposite if I wanted to, right? We're doing an open house event. We're doing something at our office that's normally not unlocked after hours. I could schedule that out a few days in advance. Again, not having to modify all those different schedules. I can also, so we have our GIS map up here, great for our exterior entities, cameras, doors, but how do we get to that first floor, second floor, so on and so forth, right? Well, I can just simply create a link here that allows me to go into another first floor map, jump to my second floor map, and continue to interact with those devices. So maybe I need to pull up this camera associated with this door here and do a quick manual unlock of that door. It's important to note that basically every mouse click that I make within our application is stored in our database. We also have over 378 permissions, so we can get very granular with what operators can do and can't do within the system, what they can see, can't see within the system. Scroll back out here, go back to our GIS map. We have the ability to, so if I'm monitoring a small area of my system in here, we have the ability to add those to what we call our watch list. So this is just going to be a rolling list of all the different events that happen within the system. And if I was to see maybe an access denied, a door forced, a door held event, or just an access granted event, I can simply click on that event, and I'm going to get the video associated with that event right within here, right? I didn't have to get that alarm in my access control software, jump over to my video software, try to hope that the times match up and search for it. I have everything right within here. If I wanted to modify this card holder right from here, I can quickly jump into my card holder management and edit this particular card holder, change their status to inactive. Maybe they got an access denied event, and I want to quickly modify what access rules they have associated with their credential. So being able to do all of this quickly without any additional software being installed. We also have the ability to do more of what I would call our traditional, right, with the tile view, so we can be able to bring in a tile view. This is what I was referring to earlier as that area view, so the way that we organize our entities. But like I said, it gets a little bit difficult. You're assuming that everyone named everything properly, where that map view makes it a hell of a lot easier to find what you're looking for. And again, we can go full screen with this as well, too. We also have the ability to add bookmarks to the video. Bookmarks can be manually added to the video, right? I saw something happen. I didn't necessarily want to export this video out of the system, but I want to find it easier. So I just add a message. Oops, and I did hit export. Add a unique message in there. That's pretty unique. We should be able to find that. And now if I ever needed to run a report, find that video at a later date, can do that relatively quickly. Excuse me. From here, I'm going to jump down into our investigation. So here I'm able to do plain English search. So I'm just going to do the same one I did earlier today, but just say, show me all the red cars. And this is going to query the system based on the metadata events that are coming from the cameras and try to find all the cars that meet that requirement. It could be, I want to show me all the people that have a black shirt on, brown pants on, right? Plain English searches, geez. And then we can play these events back from within here as well, too. We can also kind of take that a next step farther. So if I wanted to maybe see where this car entered this scene or left this scene here, I'm going to go full screen with this guy. And I'm going to draw just a little box around this car over here. Now the system knows when I drew that box around a car that what I'm looking for is that image. If I drew it around a person, then it's going to go back and search for all the people that match kind of those attributes. And we'll investigate that. So it should pull in when it entered the scene and when it exited the scene, right? As well as other similar attributes that matched what we were looking for. So we're really kind of create that story when we're going back and we're reviewing video, and then export this out of the system after the fact. The last area I'll show in here is our reporting. So the ability to do reporting right within the web application. And what I like to do is anything that happened within the system. This will probably take just a few minutes to generate here, but being able to run one report that can really tell a story of, okay, I got an access denied event in the system. Well, right before that, I also had an LPR read in the system. And then I also had a card holder that maybe had an access granted. So you can really kind of build that story based on all those different events that happened rather than saying, okay, show me all the access control events. Now show me all the LPR events. Now show me all the other access control events, right? The ability to kind of bring all that into one clean report that we can play back right from here, whether it's as simple as motion detection or a cross-line detection or any of those other analytic events that are built into the camera. So from here, I'm going to go into our thinned down thick client, which is going to give operators a lot more functionality of the system, more reporting functionality within the system. And anybody who, there was a couple customers here earlier that are using Genetec, this looks exactly like what you're using on-prem, right? So anybody that's transitioning over to our new product, the look and feel and the functionality of the system is really identical to what you have with your on-prem system. I still have my mapping within here that I can interact with, just like we did before. Be able to grab that camera, pull it up on my GIS map. I can actually pin that to my map as well too. What that allows me to do is maybe navigate over to another site that I have and bring up additional cameras from that as well too, from that site, while keeping that same camera on the map here. I can interact with my playback here, so if I wanted to start playing back from when we had a motion event a few minutes ago, just simply double click on here, start playing back from 3 minutes ago. And I still have that ability to create that link, bring me into that flat file as well too. A couple other ways that we can do within here to go back and search for recorded videos. So I'm going to go back, I'm going to find a different camera for here. Bear with me 1 second. We got to find the right one. In there, we'll drop this guy up full screen here. Oof. So you get that when you're just on Wi-Fi, that everyone else in the room is on, right? So if we had a little bit better internet connection, we probably wouldn't see that tearing. But if I wanted to see when this great Green Bay Packers cooler was put up on my porch here, I could sit here and kind of scroll through my timeline and try to find when it was there and when it's not there, but that's not really an efficient way to go back and find for video, right? What I can do here is zoom in and need a little better resolution camera from Access. I'll hit them up after this. But now I can launch my quick search. And based on our network connectivity here, it's probably going to take just a little bit longer than it normally would to do this. But what I can do here is click on my quick search here, and then I'm going to expand my time frame out a little bit longer than what we have here to about 6 days video. I can expand that all the way out to my complete retention I have within my system, as short as the last minute. What this is going to do is it's going to break down this video into thumbnails, right? So we're going to be able to tell, hopefully we'll be able to tell, is there a cooler hanging there? Well, we can definitely see it there. I can just continue to dive into this video until I get an appropriate amount I want to watch. We've got it there. Doesn't look like it's there. We're just getting a little bit closer. We're down to about 4 hours. Now we're down to less than an hour. So we're really scrubbing through quite a bit of video. Now we're down to just a couple minutes. So we'll probably start it right here. Let's go one more time just for the demo so we're going to sit here and watch so much video. And there I am, hanging the cooler up. Now what I can do from here, if this is actually video that I want to capture out of the system, is I can right-click and start an incident recording, and I can also enable my visual tracking. What the visual tracking does is it allows me to have these pre-configured links on the field of view that I can quickly jump to that next camera around my porch here. Get the video associated from that camera, jump to the next camera on the other side of my porch, and this part's gonna go just a little bit slow with our network connectivity, but we can create these different links, so I don't have to have that map up anymore, I don't have to have that big long area view up, I'm just able to create different links that brings me to the next camera down the hallway, the next camera that's exterior from that interior camera, around the parking lot, and so on and so forth. And then when I'm done and I've captured all the video that I want for this incident, I right-click again and stop an incident recording. What that will do is it's going to compile the steps we took following that individual around, following that car around the parking lot, into one clean report that I can simply give another unique name to, and create it I can export it directly from here. Or even if I forgot a couple cameras that I wanted to add to this incident, I can do that after the fact as well too, and add additional cameras within here. So now that we've gone through a couple of different scenarios here on how we can find different video, export different video, how do I share that video with somebody? How do I share that video with Joe? Hey, Joe, you got that USB? That's what me so I can share that video with you? No, we're not doing USBs, right? We have a product that we have that's also a hosted product that's called Clearance, and it's all about evidence management. We developed this in partnership with two end users. So one was the Chicago Housing Authority, and the other one was a little coffee shop called Starbucks, if you're familiar with that. But both of these companies were employing multiple people to export and burn video. One was doing a USB, the other one was doing OneDrive, right? And well, we developed this product called Clearance in case management, evidence management, not just video, and it's not just our video. We can bring in PDFs, Word documents. Like I said, just about everybody else's video can be brought into this as well too. So just wanted to give you guys an overview of this product as well too, because it's great for sharing video. So I created this case a little bit earlier today. And there's a couple keynotes in here, right? So based on the category that I associate to this particular case, that's going to determine what's the retention time. So what does this particular end user need for an assault, for a slip and fall, for whatever the category we want to associate it with. The departments that we associate this with is going to determine who has access to this video or who has access to this case. So we're automatically adding internal users to this case where they're going to log in and view video, view those PDFs, upload video, upload PDFs if they need to. It's important to note on the retention, it only has to do with closed cases. So as long as the case is open, it's going to be there indefinitely. And you can have things stored indefinitely if you need to. Some of our financial customers don't ever delete things out of their cases. If I needed to invite anybody else into this case, I can simply go in and add additional users. So this is going to be internal users to your organization. But if we needed to share this outside of the organization, public defenders, law enforcement, somebody else needs access to this case, we can invite a guest. I'll just invite myself and set an expiration date for, you only get access to this case for 2 years. And what rights do you have? You have the rights to view only, view and download, and you would probably never give a guest the ability to edit or manage. But you also get within here a chain of custody, an audit trail within here. So when you share this video, I gave you 2 weeks to view the video, what did you think of it? Never saw it. No, I can see here you logged in from this IP address on this date and all the different steps they took in there as well too. Let's go back into that case here. We also have the ability within here to do a file request, right? So if something happened out in your parking lot, anybody capture video from that, create a request, and maybe post this on your website, post it on social media. You have a QR code. If anybody wants to scan it, upload things to the case, they're more than welcome to. But another option for getting more information into the case, right? Let's go back in here, done here. So I haven't actually added anything in here yet. So what does it look like to actually add some files within here? So I'm going to go in, just going to find my vault. And we can, like I said, just simply drag and drop within here. Grab that PDF within here. And maybe we'll just grab a couple other, and upload those all into Clearance. There's another very powerful tool within Clearance. So I'm going to go into actually a different case to give you an example. And I just have to find that one. I never remember what I call it. I know I'm not clever enough to call it anything fancy. Search for demo. There we go. So we also have a redaction tool built within Clearance as well, too. So we're able to upload our video within here. And I'll show the original and the redacted video here. And you'll see me walk into the office here in just a second. So we're able to blur out the faces of individuals within the scene as well too. And we can decide if we want to blur out everybody or just one person, a couple people, however we want to do it, go through and add the video masking after the fact. So we saw kind of how I dragged and dropped video within here, but there's also another way to bring video within here. So maybe we don't want to give somebody access to your cameras, but we want them to have the ability to review video and request video. So we have a registry within here that's going to bring in all the cameras we have associated here. We can also do this in more of a map view as well. So we're giving somebody access to our system here. I don't know why I'm down in Texas. That's weird. Scroll up to where I have my cameras here. There was an incident that happened over here in Green Bay. And we could allow somebody to come in and just say, I want all the video from the cameras that cover this area. They're able to go in here, request that video without having access to any of the systems, and associate that with a case. Now, the way that that would work is it would go to an approver who would say, yes, you can have that video. Yes, you can have the video, but not the 24 hours that you requested, because that's ridiculous. Or, just cancel it altogether, or give them all the video that they want. All right. Talked a lot about video over the last few minutes, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about our access control product that we have that's called ClearID. We developed this alongside of Axon, and really they had a need. They had a lot of their employees travel to multiple different sites all the time, right? They may start out down in Texas, but they have to go overseas or to different offices, and how do they get access to these different offices, right? Is the first part of ClearID. There's another side of that where we do roles-based provisioning for access control. What does that really mean? Well, it means we're synchronizing with our Active Directory at Genetec and bringing in the different attributes associated with my identity. So we're looking at my identity within ClearID. I have a primary site in here, I have a job title in here, and I also have a country within here. And we can also bring in additional custom fields here. But we can use those to determine where I get access to. So based on being, primary site of Chilton, being in the United States, I'm automatically going to be granted access to our Experience Center in DC. But I need to go up to Montreal next week, and I don't have access to Montreal. Well, we can allow the employees to log in here and make new requests. What am I requesting? I'm requesting access for myself, for a role, so I'll talk a little bit about that, or for somebody else, one of my employees within here. We'll just kind of go through this workflow here. It's going to default to my primary site, but I'm just going to pick one of the other sites within here. And then we're going to bring in the different areas we have associated with that site. So I'm able to select where do I need access when I get to that site. Next, when am I going to be on site and for how long, right? So we'll just say I'm going to be there next week. They'll all be on PTO. And what schedule do I want associated with it? So now if I go in here and I select the hourly schedule in here, what's the reason for the request, and done. The way that that's going to work is we create area owners. So that area that I just requested access to, there's an owner of that area. And he's going to get an email notification that Ethan Becker requested access to his site from this date to this date, and he wants an always schedule. Again, kind of that same workflow we just talked about with the video side of things, where he's able to approve that, deny it, or say, there's no reason you need always. You're going to get that office hour schedule that you should have had, right? And then I'm automatically going to be added to that system, have access to it for the dates I specified. There's another side of ClearID, and that's the visitor management side, right? So I don't know if you caught that when I did this. We also have the ability to invite visitors. So let's kind of just go through that workflow. Can't type. Again, defaults to my site, because if I'm inviting a visitor, more than likely I'm inviting them to my site. We can have different drop-downs within here, and this all becomes part of the email invite that visitor is going to get. So where are we meeting at? Main office. If we have multiple parking lots, where do they want to park at? Let's say lot B. And then again, what areas do they need access to? Well, I'm parking, so I need that one. And I probably need, scroll down. Maybe also need different areas like the building A or first floor area as well. Again, now we're just going to do when is this event happening, or when does this visitor need access? And what's the reason for the visit? It's a meeting. I'm really clever with my naming conventions in my demos, right? Now that we've created that event, it's time to actually invite the visitors, right? So if we did have a CSV or a long list of them, we're able to import all those visitors all at once. Or if it's just more of that one-off, we can just add them one at a time. If it is like a reoccurring visitor, we have the ability to search for them in there as well too. But we'll just do a new visitor, and I'll invite my daughter. And what company does she work for? We can also have additional things in here, like if we need an NDA to be signed beforehand, if they need ADA requirements. And if we needed to add additional visitors within here, we can do that as well too. Next. I'm the one making the request, so I'm the one that's going to get the text message notification when she arrives on site, but if I needed to add additional in there, I'm able to do that as well too. And if I needed any additional notes for security, I can enter that in as well too. And that's going to go through that same process, but based on me being the area owner of that site that we invited the visitor to, it's going to automatically be approved, right? The visitor is going to get an email that has a QR code on it, and that QR code can be used for multiple different things. So it could be used for checking in at one of our kiosks, printing a visitor badge for them, but I also invited, if you notice, I invited them to that parking area. So that maybe could be a locked parking area with a gate. That QR code could be used to grant them access through that gate, notify the host that they're on site, meet them in the lobby, and we're good to go. Could also be used for other access control features, like we have end users that use that for their turnstiles to get into the building, for elevators to get into the building, so on and so forth. So let's talk a little bit more about the roles-based provisioning, right? So if I take a look at what roles I'm in the sales engineering North American role, right? Why am I in that? Well, it's based on that provisioning policy that I kind of talked about. So we were able to use that provisioning policy to say, if the job title is sales engineer, their status is active, and the country is United States, they're automatically in that North America sales engineering provisioning role. Any of those attributes change, like Joe finally talks me into taking a sales position, I knew I'd get a laugh on that one. My attributes automatically change, and I'm going to get different access based on that, or I could get different access based on that. All right. So let's jump back into our operation center here. And I just want to cover a couple other features within the operations center within here. So I'm going to go through some quick little reporting exercises within here. So we have the ability here to quickly run reports right from our different applications. So if I was curious, who's been through this door in the last week, the last month, the last year, however long I'm saving those events in my system, I can simply right-click on that, go into my investigations, and bring me to a door activities report. It's going to pre-populate that with the door in question, so I don't need to find it in my big, long area view list. And really all I need to do here is specify my range. So let's run this for a month so we get a little bit more information. Here we see all of our manual unlocked events, and now we get down to our access granted events, and we're able to play all those events back with the video associated with it after the fact. Assuming the video is still stored in the system with that access control event, we're able to play those back after the fact. Buffering, it's going to come up here in just a second. There we go. All of our reports, we can get more of a graphical representation as well too. So if I click on my charts here, I skipped lunch, but I could really go for a donut. Here I'm able to quickly, right, a couple clicks from that monitoring task, I get a really good visual overview of what's going on in that door. Why am I getting no entry detected for almost every access granted? Well, it's a demo system at my house. I'm not triggering a door contact every time. But in the real world, this is probably an indication that we have some failing hardware out there that we might want to take a look at before it becomes a bigger issue. If this was a critical door in the system that we wanted to report on, every month HR wants this report, every quarterly security wants this report, I'm able to right-click on this, do a save as. It's going to ask me, is this a public task available for anybody in the system? Or is it private? Is it just my task? But I'm able to save this and then set up what we call a scheduled task to export this, email this to whoever needs it on that reoccurring basis. We also have the ability to bring in dashboards within here as well too. So this is one example of a dashboard. I'll show another example here momentarily. But really being able to bring in a ton of information all in one page, right? So it could be if we had any alarms going off. We have our alarms within here. I still have my map up here that I can interact with, just like we saw before. So I'm able to bring those cameras in. That guy's resolution here is gonna screw me up. Or drop those cameras in to one of my tiles down here. Jump into my first floor, grab a different camera to drop into one of the tiles in here. Even play back those access control events right within here as well too. And I still have the tools like that visual tracking that I showed you earlier, the quick search, those can all still be utilized right within here within the dashboard, right? So we really see these used a lot, in those lockdown scenarios when an operator needs to be able to have access to all these different cameras, but maybe have a door status widget up here where we have the website that shows me all my doors are locked and all my doors are closed. If they're not, probably want to dispatch somebody as quickly as possible. And these dashboards are completely customizable to what's important to that particular operator. Let's see, do I have another example of a dashboard? I might not. Yeah, we do, sorry. Just another example of maybe I'm just curious what the door activities are for a day. So having this up on one of my monitors so I can see all those different events that I'm getting, right? So again, dashboards can be completely customizable to what's important to you when you log into the system. So that was kind of the high-level overview that I was kind of planning to put together as part of the demo. Joe and I are in the back just past the very popular axe throwing game, so if anybody wants more of a deeper dive or has any questions after the fact, we do have a couple minutes if we wanted to open up for questions. It's up to you, Joe. Are there any questions?
All right, great.
Awesome.
We appreciate the time, everybody. Hope to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.